What's up, everybody? It's Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. This video here, we're going to talk about what to do when debt collectors are coming after you. I got, over the weekend, probably about 5 or 6 comments in the YouTube comment section, but I got a whole bunch of emails. Like, I'm talking about where people were expressing a lot of fear. They said that they're scared. They're using words like this. And so I'm going to make this video. This is one that I've done before, but there's always new people coming to the channel. And also for you, if you're still dealing with debt collectors, you might be one of my longtime subscribers here on my channel. We have to keep reviewing this. Repetition brings on recognition. One way that a debt collector is coming after you might be different from another debt collector, the way that they're coming after you. Yeah, the laws are the laws, but we see how these companies can skirt the laws. And also, you are under a lot of emotional stress. Have a lot of anxiety. A lot of people, maybe you're one, can't sleep. It's very difficult to make ends meet. And so that's why I make these videos, because this here, I always stress, you got to know where you're at in the debt collection process to see how you're going to fight the debt collector. Like, a lot of people are fighting the debt collector one way, and it's like the debt collector, they can disregard you because you're not at the point of where they're at. So from the beginning, let's start at the beginning. When a debt collector buys your debt, you have a right to do a debt validation. The way that you have the right to do the debt validation is, or the reason why, is because they purchased the debt from the original creditor. So the first thing that you need to do, and I'm going to kind of skip around on this part here at the beginning, but it's all important. So take your notes, because you're going to look at your situation and say, okay, this solution that Steve said fits my situation. So let's start at the top. When you receive any debt, it could be from the original creditor or debt collector, you should always check your state's statute of limitations. It varies from state to state, but this is the deal. This is the good part, is that regardless of if it's the original creditor or debt collector, they have not taken you to court and got a judgment against you. A judgment can last up to 20 years. In its past statute of limitations, they cannot legally come after you for it. Now, they can call you and they can send you letters saying, hey, you had this debt with us, you want to pay it. They can do that all day. They can do that all day. They can't call you over and over all day, but they can call you every once in a while to see if they can get you to pay it. But they cannot take you to court and make you legally pay that debt. So always check the statute of limitations for your debt. If you go to my website, thecreditrepairshop.com, and you go to my blog and type in statute, you will see that in column 1, these are like auto loans or personal loans, any type of loan that you got that when you pay it, you're just paying it off, like what do you call it? Just a regular loan. In column number 4 is revolving type of accounts. And those are the ones that you can pay, and then you can charge them again, like your credit cards. Usually in column number 4 for credit cards or loans that you can roll over, those types of the statute of limitations for those is usually shorter than it is for the regular loan. So check your statute of limitations. And also, if it's a regular debt, it will be by the statute of limitations for your state. But keep this in mind, if it's a utility debt, cell phone, anything that's a utility, internet, those types, there's a 2-year federal statute of limitations. You need to be aware of that. So now let me just tell you what you need to do if that happens before we move forward, because this is the best part. If your debt is past the legal statute of limitations, you don't have to worry about all the other stuff that I'm about to talk about. All you have to do is send them a letter stating that they're trying to collect the debt that is past the legal statute of limitations for them to be able to collect. That's it. No debt validation, none of this back and forth, contract, prove this, that. None of that it has to happen. Don't worry, I'm going to give you a letter at the end of this video that you can utilize for that. The next thing, if it is not past the legal statute of limitations, I'm going to tell you how to respond, but first let's just walk it up step by step to see if they did any violations on the way that they contacted you. Now, one thing is that they're supposed to send you a demand letter. It's called a dunning letter. They're supposed to send that to you first. But we see that they break the rules. They do all types of things. They call. It just depends on how much the debt collector wants to spend to come after you, because there's certain services that they can purchase, that skip tracing services that the bureaus offer them, where they can look in and see everything about you. See if you have a job, where you work at, how you're paying your bills, you got a mortgage, you got car payment, credit card payments. They can look at all of that if they want to pay, but that raises the price on what they're paying for the debt. So they buy it for pennies on the dollar. But to check your information, that's going to raise it maybe 8 to 10. I don't know. I'm not a debt collector. But say that it raises it per search that they utilize for the skip tracing service to $10. And if they bought, 10,000 accounts times $10, that's a big investment. They already made the investment to buy it for pennies on the dollar, which is still going to be in the thousands. And then now they're going to have to stack on top of that for doing the tracing. That's why you'll have debt collectors try different ways. It just depends on how big they are. So they're going to use, the smaller ones are going to call first. The smaller debt collectors are going to call first. Sometimes the bigger ones will do it, but the smaller ones are going to call first. And that is a violation, because they're supposed to allow you the opportunity to review it, to review what they're talking about. So if you ever get a call, you can have them send you the information about what they're claiming on the phone for the debt, but then you can reply back to them saying that you just violated because you're supposed to send me a 30-day dunning letter first. And when you get that letter, you got to make sure that it's not a violation by the way that they sent it to you. Was it done by a third party? The way that you can look at that is if you see these little meter rate things on there, they'll have these little slashes. Sometimes they do that internally. You can get a meter machine at your office. But if you see that, you can question them and say that you've disclosed my private information to a third party. You're not allowed to do that according to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. And companies have gotten in trouble for doing that. And if they send it in a postcard, they're really breaking the rules. And then if they have Johnson or, blank debt collection service, if they have it on there, they're violating. That's why they'll change the name to Portfolio Recovery or something Capital. They'll use those names because just with simply putting it on the envelope, their return address, they're violating. That's why you see all the companies changing that. Within that letter, they're supposed to give you the opportunity to dispute all of it or to dispute any part of the debt. They have to give you that. There have been debt collection letters that have been going out that didn't have that information in there, and you can go for yourself to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act and look at that. It specifically states that they have to give you that opportunity, regardless. When a debt goes to get charged off, and a debt collector buys it, and they contact you, they have to give you the opportunity to dispute any or all of the debt. They have to state that in the letter. They're not supposed to think that you just know that law. They're supposed to tell you. They'll hide it in there with some of the paragraph. They're also supposed to tell you who the original creditor is and then who they are. They're supposed to identify those three things. So watch out for that. Now let's talk about some, let's go to the next one here. So this is if you're at the beginning. This is it if you're at the beginning. Now, let's talk about the debt validation process. because some people are past that point. If you don't respond to that, what I just showed you within 30 days, you give the debt collector the right to place that information on your credit reports legally. Even if it's not you. Say it's not you, it was ID theft, and they sent you that letter and you didn't respond because you thought, hey, it's ID theft, it's not me. They have the right to put it on your credit report. So don't give them that opportunity. Next thing is the debt validation. If it's the original creditor, this is what you do. You know, go through your memory, think about what was going on during that period of time, and you see if you had any disputes with them. Because remember, as an original creditor, they're able to just go right to their computer, their database, and pull up everything about your account. So if you had any type of disputes, and that does happen, then you can bring those up, but it's going to be more than likely, it's going to probably be heading towards a settlement, which is not a bad thing if you're still dealing with the original creditor. Or if you have a hardship, then maybe it's going to be moved over to a 1099-C. And I have other videos on how you can do hardship letters and get them to do a 1099-C. So that's would be that process. If it's with a debt collector, what you're going to do for your debt validation is you're going to want to get the contract with the debt collector. Show me how we have this relationship. The next thing is you want to get the original contract from the original creditor so you can see, hey, did I have some disputes with you? Is this the exact contract that I got from the beginning? We've seen with the car dealers where American Credit Acceptance, the car dealers were giving one contract to the consumer and sending another contract to American Credit Acceptance. I mean, you don't think that this stuff could happen, but anything is possible. So you want to get the original contract, and then you want to look at all of the history regarding the account. This is where debt collectors get stuck, is because the original creditor is not going to give them everything about your account. But see, you have a right as an individual to review every piece of the account. Like, if you just think about it, like if you were walking down the street and I said, hey, you owe me $10,000. And I just said, well, here. And you say, well, number one, who are you? Well, I've just bought your debt. Okay, well, show me the contract that you bought my debt. Okay, here's the contract. Okay, show me what you have to prove that I owe you $10,000. And I pull out like one or two statements that you had from the original credit. Is that enough for you? Like, you see, people accept it because they think that just because a company gave it to them, that's everything. But if an individual was to walk up to you that way, you would say, well, give me more proof. Regardless if the debt was yours, you want more proof. And so this is where they get stuck, is you can ask for more proof to establish. Now, when you do that, what you're doing is you said, hey, remember that letter that you sent me? It said that I can dispute any or all of it. Well, I'm disputing all of it until you get me all of the information. Now, this here is before court. So just so we get on our timeline of where we're at, this is what you're asking for. If say that they're making threats, we're going to do this or whatever, you're asking for this information from the letter that they sent you stating that you owe the debt. So you have a right to do that. Don't worry about them coming up with all these different things claiming that you don't. You have a right to do it. So now let's move to the next step. When you do the debt validation, something that we've been telling our clients to do, and I don't know what's going on, but it's beneficial to our clients and it could be beneficial to you. We've added this step in the debt validation process, is where we want our clients, and you should do this too if you have any debt, is you want to call the IRS to see if a 1099-C was filed. Because if a 1099-C was filed, that debt collector has no business trying to come after you for that debt. And you might be saying, well, if they file a 1099-C, why would the debt collector even attempt to do it? I don't even get into that part. I don't know why they would want to do it, but I can tell you that it is happening, that people are actually calling the IRS and they're saying, oh yeah, we got this 1099-C. And it's like, well, why didn't you mail it? Well, they probably didn't mail it because they're low staff. I mean, there's all the reasons. Let's not waste our time wondering why other people or companies don't do things. There's a whole bunch of reasons. You're busy, I'm busy. There's a whole bunch of reasons why we procrastinate on stuff. But the thing that you could do so you don't procrastinate is to call the IRS and see if a 1099-C was filed, because you never know, if it's been filed, then you would be able to just tell the debt collector, you have to cease collections, that this debt is quote unquote paid. They submitted it 1099-C, cancellation of debt. That's a debt forgiveness. And you can get a waiver and not have to worry about paying. Next thing that you want to do in your debt validation process is you want to see if the original creditor was in any type of class action lawsuits. And this was something that I had put here. This is like a reminder of what from this video too. I'll speak on that in a second. But if they were in any class action lawsuits, because you could utilize that information to go up against the debt collector. See, when the debt collector buys a debt, there's a little statement on that assignment sheet when they assume, assign, purchase a debt portfolio, is that it says that they do not have any warranties. What they mean by warranties are guarantees, or any no guarantee of any errors on there. So that means that if anything was wrong, even if we did something wrong, it does not matter. You're not getting your money back. That's it. Here's the debt portfolio. You take it. So what you need to do is you need to look at any class action lawsuits. And if your company that you had a debt with was in any class action lawsuit, number one, you could potentially be in the lawsuit. We found that with Santander. We found that with American Credit Acceptance. Like, I'm part of this lawsuit. So why are you even coming after me? And the debt collection company will try to pretend like, oh, well, your debt wasn't included. Yes, it is included. How do you know it's not included? I'm not just going to go off of your word on this. So you check with that, and then you utilize the information in that class action. If you feel that any of that stuff happened to you when you were dealing with the original creditor, you would bring that up with the debt collector and let them make a determination if they're going to try to take you to court over that, when you can bring up all of these things and it was a class action settlement. And just because the class action maybe didn't include your state, the same things could be happening to you. It's just that not enough people have signed up in your state to make the class action justifiable for your department that handles that. Now, something else that I had put here when I made this video was that when dealing with a debt collector, especially for payday loans and for some auto loans, you might find that and this is when you're doing your research, is that you're trying to make sure that they didn't do any usury violations. And what that means is that they didn't, like, especially with payday lenders, did they charge an amount of interest that is illegal for your state? We had found this with one of our clients, and it had saved him $4,500 from a payday loan that was from one of these online payday loan places. And when we looked at it, it was like, your state only allows this amount. And all of the states, they allow a huge amount. Like my state of Wisconsin allows 2,000% interest. Can you believe that? But even with 2,000% interest, the way that these companies work, you could be paying 5,000% interest. Also, you need to be aware of with payday lenders is that in every state has this rule, is that when you go in there and you recycle a loan, I don't know exactly what they call it, but it's like you go in there and you're like, hey, I want to redo my loan. and you're doing that within 1 month. Some states have where you can only do it once a month, or once every 3 months, or twice a month, or whatever. Because when you do that, this is what happens, and this is how they end up breaking the rules with the interest rate. Is because what they do is they say you owe them $1,000. You, in the middle of the month, you say, well, hey, I can't, keep up with this. I need to roll it over. So what they're going to do is put that interest into your $1,000. So now you might owe $1,200, and then when they recycle it, you're paying interest on $1,200. So they've stuck in $200. That's against the law when they do that, because that's like going to Tony Soprano. When you can't pay Tony, what did they do? He was like, well, I'll put the interest on the principal. So instead of you owing me $50,000, now you owe me $60,000, and I'm charging you interest on $60,000. They can't do it that way. But you got to look at your laws in your state to see what they can and can't do. It takes a lot of study. And when we figured this out, we had to put numbers on paper and figure it. It takes a lot of work, but it's worth it, because $4,500, and to get that dismissed, it was well worth the time for that client. Other thing is, watch for signature issues. We're seeing that a lot of documents that the debt collectors are using, they don't even have a digital or written signature. Make sure it's your signature. In the American Credit Acceptance settlement, they had showed that the auto dealers were giving documents to American Credit Acceptance, and the signatures was not the signature of the consumer who bought the vehicle. You might be asking, well, why the hell would they do that? Talk to them about it. They got sued about it. So let's move on to the next one. So the next part with the debt validation is that, and we kind of went into it earlier, is the privacy disclosures with the collectors. Have them give you documentation to more than just about the debt. See, they try to get you focused on the debt. Give me information. Give me a document that you got that says that you have a right to see my private information. Now, they're going to probably try to say, well, when we bought it from the original creditor, they gave us a document stating that, it's passed over to you. You see a lot of doctor's offices making you sign additional disclosures, saying that debt collectors if they do give it to a debt collector, that you're also signing over the right for them to be able to contact you. I'm pretty sure with most companies, they are kind of getting that worked in there. But here's the thing. To this date, and I've been doing this since 2006, no debt collector has ever had sufficient information to show that they could have access to your private data. Not to say that some judges may not allow it to go through. I'm just saying that no debt collector has sufficiently proven this. And something that debt collectors have been doing, making adjustments, and I know it's based off of the work that I've been doing, is that they'll put a document in there that will make it look like the original creditor did pass over information, allowing them to be able to do it because you signed for that. Hold on. Take a quick drink here. So they made a document that looks like it's coming from the original creditor, allowing them to see your personal information because you signed for it. And they'll say that, it's a confusing document. The first time that I saw it, I was like, they made a big adjustment that the original creditors are actually making this letter. And then I read it, scanned it very closely, looked at the bottom, and it was a representative from the debt collection company. It wasn't even signed by the original creditor. So they'll try these different things. They'll produce documents that will make it look like the original creditor had some part in it, but they didn't. So no debt collector has made it over that hurdle. But again, not to say that judges, if you're in court, that the judge may not allow that to pass through. without having that proof. So you would have to build your case with all of this information that I'm showing you. The next thing is violations in the past by the debt collector. This is something that a lot of people, they express it, they talk about it, like they'll be like, this debt collector done got in trouble, they got all of this stuff that done happened with them, and why are they allowed to keep doing this, and they done paid fines, all of that stuff. I don't know. I don't get into that. I do get into, let's find out what they've done, see if they've done it to you, and let's just happen to just bring that up if they end up taking us to court. We want to bring that stuff up so we can make the judge aware, so we can say that we're doing our due diligence against what they've done in the past. So you might find that they had violations, and you might find something that you didn't know about, that you didn't even think that was a violation. Example, this is something that had happened with one of my clients with a credit card company, is that they use religion to collect. So this individual's religion, it specifically states in there, and I think all religions talks about paying your debt, but this one here talks about that you should not be owing people and that you should pay all of your debts. And they actually use someone from his someone that was the same what is it? I don't want to say race, because we're all the same race, but someone that was the same race as him, to call him. And I listened to the phone call, and they were putting an undue amount of pressure on him from a financial perspective, but also from a religious perspective. And I just thought that that was totally wrong. We did end up utilizing that information to get very good settlements for him with that company. So let's see here. We got here. Oh, we're at the end here. So if you have debt collectors coming after you, so we're going to end the video here. This is some excellent information. This is a refresher. If you have debt collectors coming after you, I want you to grab my 3-pack of letters. If it's early in the game, before they've taken you to court, maybe they got it on your credit reports, but this is early. I have a 3-pack of letters: statute of limitations, cease and desist collection activities letter. Not to be confused with cease and desist, stop calling me letter. No, this is to have them stop collecting the debt based on these points that I've outlined on there. And then I have a debt validation letter for the back and forth that might happen when, because some debt collectors are not going to stop right there. The letters are free. I do ask for a donation. I think it's well worth it, because it can save you time, save you money, save you frustration and headache. It's already prepared for you. I do have an upgraded version, or you can have us do it for you. The links are below this video or above this video, depending on where you're watching this video. It can really help you. Those letters are below there. If you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, what makes us different, so you can see my 8-point validation process and my 2-phase settlement process. That's the way that we repair credit. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com, and we can help you get your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports and all 3 scores and all of the information that you would need to be able to, repair your credit. The other thing is that if you have debt collectors that are suing you in court, third-party debt collectors, contact my office. We can help you with that. There's a link also below this video for to write your affirmative defense against debt collectors. We've been very successful. You'll see some examples on those. It's a very good service. Thank you for your time. Please subscribe to the channel, post your questions and comments.